27 years. For 27 years, the family of Tupac Shakur has been waiting for justice. We are here today to announce the arrest of 60-year-old Dwayne Keith Davis, a.k.a. Keffe D, for the murder of Tupac Shakur.
How do you feel about the alias Keffe D, a.k.a. Keffe D?
First of all, I live in Los Angeles. Let me just put that out. And this gentleman here is from Los Angeles. I can't say too much about this that I probably would say in private. But what I will say about this, I do have a lot of comments, some words for this. So let me just catch you up to speed right now. So it looks like they've caught Keffe D. He is a murderer, y'all. This is a fact. Like, he kills people. He has killed people. And the people who he's affiliated with kill people. But apparently, they found the bullet shells from the murder, from the actual shooting that night, and the gun. I believe that these are signs of a serial killer. We know that he's committed many murders, and normally serial killers like to collect souvenirs from those said murders and have them to either hold on to and as prized possessions, or they like to share them with other people and let people know that they committed these crimes. Now, holding on to bullets for 25 plus years is insane. Insane, especially since it's the only thing physically connecting you to the crime. From
Throw that in the Atlantic, like, Titanic style or something.
Exactly. I mean, it doesn't make sense to have held on to it, other than the fact that this man is a true serial killer, and there might be other trinkets and souvenirs that he's kept from other murders, but they're not going to report those because it's not pertaining to this case. I hope this dude gets a lot of time and a good lawyer, because it's going to be a rough ride for Mr. Keffe D. He looks like a cousin of mine. I'm not going to lie.
As we all know, Tupac Shakur was a artist who was signed with Death Row Records. And that Death Row Records and its CEO, Marion Suge Knight, were closely affiliated with the Mob Piru criminal street gangs, and that they had an ongoing feud with the Southside Compton Crips. Dwayne Davis was the leader and shot caller of the Southside Compton Crips.
So why do they call it Piru? Like, why are Bloods like Pirus?
The name Piru is derived from Piru Street Boys, a gang which was founded in 1969 by Sylvester Scott. Piru is like a different sect of the Bloods, but the Bloods are still like the Bloods. They still are Bloods, but they not. Mm-hmm. You can be a Blood and be a Piru, but just because you're a Blood doesn't mean you're Piru. Mm-hmm. That's probably the best way for me to put it.
On the night of September 7th, 1996, Tupac Shakur, along with Suge Knight, and members of their entourage, which include members of Mob Piru, came to Vegas to attend the Mike Tyson fight at the MGM Grand Garden Arena. Members of the Southside Compton Crips, which included Dwayne Davis, along with his nephew, Orlando Anderson, were also in attendance at the same event. As both were leaving the fight, members of Death Row Records spotted Orlando Anderson near an elevator bank inside the MGM. And at that time, they began to kick and punch him near that elevator bank. And on this incident, you will see Tupac Shakur, who's wearing a shiny satiny shirt, along with Marion Suge.
Somebody took a fucking photo with their camera.
Kicking Orlando Anderson. Following this incident, you'll see hotel security intervene, and then they will leave the area of the fight.
So yeah, a lot of these guys have already done a lot of interviews about this. Orlando Anderson, also a murderer. He was killed in a shootout.
Little did anyone know
California.
That it is this incident right here that would ultimately lead to the retaliatory shooting and death of Tupac Shakur. Following this incident, Tupac and Suge Knight both left the MGM to make their way to a post-fight party, which was to occur at a local nightclub. At the same time, word had spread amongst members of the Southside Compton Crips of what had occurred inside the MGM. That's when Dwayne Davis began to devise a plan to obtain a firearm and retaliate against Suge Knight and Mr. Shakur for what occurred inside the hotel against Mr. Anderson. After Davis obtained a gun, he entered into a white Cadillac along with Terrence Brown.
You seem to still have your doubts.
Well, I have doubts because I've heard many different stories of how this came together. And I just feel like it's real easy to just place the blame at one person's doorstep, especially when every other co-conspirator is dead. No one else from that car, everyone who was in the white Cadillac that night has passed away except for Keffe D. Not saying that Keffe D doesn't deserve to go to jail or doesn't deserve any of the time that he's gotten. But I'm just saying, to put all of it on him, it's just a matter of circumstance at this point. There's no one else to take to jail. But what do I know? I'm just a poor country boy from Alabama.
As they were in the white Cadillac, Mr. Davis took the gun that he had obtained and provided it to the passengers in the rear seat of the vehicle. As they were driving west on Flamingo Road near Koval, they located the black BMW, which was driven by Suge Knight, and in the passenger seat was Tupac Shakur. And as they turned around, they pulled up near the passenger side of that vehicle and immediately began shooting at Mr. Knight and Mr. Shakur. Following that shooting, the white Cadillac fled the area southbound on Koval. And as our officers arrived on scene, Tupac was later transported to the University Medical Center, where he is treated medically and died approximately 6 days.
See, they skipped something here. Very important detail of that incident that night. They skipped something. When the police officer showed up, the first responding police officer was like a bicycle police officer, bike cop. And he got to Tupac. He went to the passenger side of the car first because he was like trying to Tupac had tried to climb into the back seat while being shot. And he had tried to climb out after they had stopped. I think they actually ran into something or wrecked or whatever. After they had come to a stop, they saw Tupac, like I said, coming out of the car, and he was all shot and bleeding. He couldn't really talk, but the police officer kept saying, do you know who shot you? Do you know what happened? What happened? Who shot you? Who shot you? Did you see anything? And Tupac's response, with blood coming out of his mouth, was, fuck you. Fuck the police. What? That is a cold-blooded motherfucker.
That sounds like an urban legend to me.
Well, the police officer said it. I mean, there's interviews. He said it. So I mean, we only have the people who were there to get their testimonies. I don't know if it was true. Y'all can let me know if it was true in the comments.
If you did say that, then that is the most gangster shit in the world.
It's the most gangster shit in the world. And what does the police officer have to gain from making Tupac more gangster? Right? I have to assume it's real, at least. And it's cooler for me, to believe it.
My homicide section handled this investigation from its onset and for a short amount of time. And within a short amount of time, what we knew was that we were working a gang investigation. Where
short amount of time that you knew you were working a gang investigation. This is all gang related. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, when did you
kind of explains why it took you so goddamn long to figure out what was going on.
Affiliation, right? I am getting a picture of them being like, well, could it have been gang related?
No, Thomas, get out of here. This shit was a rapper beef. Oh man, of course it's gang related.
However, we never had the necessary evidence to bring this case forward and present it for criminal charges. As time went on, this case was reviewed multiple times by different investigators assigned to my section, but it wasn't until 2018 that this case was reinvigorated as additional
documentary
came to light
Tupac and
related to this homicide. Dwayne Davis's own admissions to his involvement in this homicide investigation that he provided to numerous different media outlets.
That is true.
In our section, we knew at this time that this was likely our last time to take a run at this case to successfully solve this case and bring forth a criminal charge.
Yeah, because he could die at any moment. He's fucking old now.
At this case, my section worked closely hand in hand with the Clark County District Attorney's Office and followed a systematic investigative plan.
Police always do
the last 5 years.
Police always suck their own dick when it comes to solving the case. He said like 18 times
Right.
in this fucking deposition. That
I did this. Me. I solved it.
And even when it wasn't me, it was people who were under me. And I told them that they should do what I said.
Yeah.
Golly.
Write it in the history books. Me, Biggie, Tupac.
That's
the
right.
Legends of rap.
I could have swore he was going to reference a Netflix documentary. Like, I was like, yo, dude, this is getting a little self-serving at this point.
A little bit.
Conducted countless interviews and corroborated numerous facts that were not only consistent with the crime scene on the night of the incident, but also corroborated and were consistent with the sequence of events that night. This ultimately led to us procuring a search warrant, which was executed at Mr. Davis's residence in Henderson, Nevada. And
He
following
moved to Nevada. Very smart.
in close coordination with the District Attorney's Office, this case was presented to the grand jury, which ultimately led to Davis being indicted on charges of murder.
Ladies and gentlemen,
an indictment in the murder of
let me
legendary
tell you something, ladies and gentlemen.
Tupac Shakur. Really,
Do not, if you commit a murder and you get away with it, do not 25 years later move to the state that you got away with the murder. It just doesn't seem logical. Like, I have a house here in Los Angeles. I'm just living here in Los Angeles. You know what? Let me move to Nevada, where I have committed murder and gotten away with it, and take the murder weapon and the bullets with me to my house. Now, there's probably a lot of people out there with some conspiracy theories going, Bill, don't you know they planted those bullets in his house? Don't you know they planted that gun in his house? That's how the police work, man. Well, I don't know that. I don't know that for sure, man. I know that this dude is a known murderer. I have no idea if they planted anything. And I know he was in the car when it happened. And I know there's a lot of people who have said he committed the actual murder. So all I have to go on is the streets, man. I live in the streets. Well, I mean, I live in an apartment, but I live in the streets. You know what I'm saying? I be out there. So I just have that's all I got to go off of is what the streets say.
Sometimes I'm still taken aback that, like, you know, he was 25 years old, Tupac.
25. And I think Biggie was 24.
And
25 or 20. Between 24 and 26.
Young. You know, I get to that age where I'm like, oh shit, I'm older than Tupac ever was.
Ever was, man. I'm older than Jesus was. It's crazy.
Shit.
Jesus died at 36, man. I made it past that. That's crazy. I mean, I'm just saying, and it makes you think when you think about these people who die young, especially like the tragic ways like Tupac and Biggie died. Like like Jimi Hendrix, you know what I'm saying? Like he didn't die from violence, but man, think about how much they could have got done if they lived past 25. Like, man, it's just crazy. They never even got to stop being young and crazy, you know, young and stupid. They never got a chance to mature into themselves, mature into their craft. I mean, they weren't even doing what they were doing for longer than 10 years. They had already mastered what they had been trying to achieve for a very short period of time. It's incredibly impressive, and it's a sad, sad story that gang violence and machismo has taken these brilliant artists away from us way too fast. Let me know what y'all think, man. Do y'all think that Keffe D did it? And do y'all think that this is too little too late? Like, and I still want to know who killed Biggie, you know? So put it in the comments, man. Let me know.